This Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup action is proudly brought to you by Red Square for ultimate activation. Hello and welcome to Zwartkops Raceway for round 1 action of the 2019 Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup racing action. This weekend it's part of the Day of Champions Festival here at Zwartkops, and as you can see, a massive crowd has turned out to enjoy some of the best two-wheeled racing action you are likely to see in South African motorsport. The pancakes are getting ready while the riders get themselves all ready in the pits to get themselves out for their racing action. Plenty to do on and off the track here at Zwartkops Raceway. As always, it's a great festival vibe for the entire family to come out and enjoy all the racing action. See, the pit lane is starting to get a little bit busier now with the bikes getting themselves ready to head out on track for their qualifying sessions. You see the guys are out there. The brand new Bridgestone R11's being introduced for the first time in the 2019 season. And joining me in the commentary booth, Dave Peterson. Dave, the guys really enjoying the grip that they're getting from the new Bridgestones.
And good to see new faces taking part as well. Gareth Action Jackson taking part, Colin Prele in there, and Lefraz Fritz. So new riders joining the series. Also good to see Stewie Russell back out on track. Hasn't ridden at Zwartkops for over a year. As we go on board with these riders on those practice sessions, you can see Safisa Tembo getting to grips immediately during the practice session. Some of the guys popping in and out of pit lane, changing the bike setup. Obviously the pit crews, lap timing as the riders go out there. Johan Leroux pulls into the pits. He's had enough of practice for now. In fact, at his age, he's had enough of life, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of these guys can only afford to do a couple of laps out in the qualifying sessions. They need to save as much energy as they can for the races. They get a lot of energy from their Red Square energy drinks. And as you can see, again, just that family atmosphere is what it's all about. I see a lot of the guys coming with the wives, with the family, with the kids to come and enjoy the racing action. But I think it's going to be fast and fierce out on track because the lap times that these guys, even the older statesmen, the Iron Man there, are sitting incredibly fast lap times on these new Bridgestones.
Looking close, making adjustments to his bike. Rodney McLaughlin studying what he's been doing out on the track with those lap times. And Peter Clark has come up with some prize incentives for our top riders.
I'm from a company called Foster Melia. We're an IT company. We specialize in IT consulting and IT training, and have been personally involved in the ZX10 Cup now for about 9 years. So we've decided to create an incentive for the riders for first, second and third, and in the form of a prize which will actually help assist them with their racing. And we hope this sort of brings more to the club and just gives the guys something a bit more to race for, and obviously to promote our company as well.
So as you can see, we are ready to go racing for the first time in 2019, and this will be the first real test for the brand new Bridgestone R11 tyres.
Graham van Bras second in last year's championship. He'll be looking for a win this year, looking serious. Ian Hardwood getting ready for that first race action. He's been doing a lot of laps on the new tyres and really enjoying life. Lefraz Fritz there on bike number 28. And these guys look really happy to be going out on the track for the first time this year. I see Jacques Ackerman up from Cape Town as well. And then we've got the two Bezuidenhout brothers getting ready for action as we head down pit lane. And it'll be a few minutes and the bikes will be out on the start line ready for race number 1.
Thanks, Dave. And yes, the riders have done their qualifying. So join us after the break to see who can convert it into race number 1 win. Welcome back to Zwartkops Raceway, and our top Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup riders are lining up on the grid for the first time in the 2019 season. You can see once again, as it has been through the last 10 or 15 years here in South African motorsport, it is once again a packed grid of Kawasaki ZX10 bikes. You can see Les from Medard just giving Son Graham a final few little tweaks there. Gareth Bezuidenhout, watch out for him. He's one of the undercards, as is this man, Michael Smith, going for that first race victory in this category. On the start line, does look like pole position man, Graham from Medard. Is he going to get the whole shot that he needs going into turn one? It's a very tricky turn one and turn two for these riders. A good launch there. Oh, from Medard just gets the front wheel lifted a little bit, but he gets into there in pole position, from pole position into the whole shot.
Yako is very tentative on the brakes as they went down into turn number one. Does he look up on the inside of Jonty Collard? Yes, he does. Right behind him, Apana Ganapati. A good start from them. And just with him is Andre van Vollenstein. They are looking to have a race-long dice as they did last year. On board, Sofiso Tembo. A big improvement from this rider as he screams up. Fourth gear, listen to that thing screaming as they wind it up into turn four.
You can see out front, does look like Van Breda is just extending a lead. Apana Ganapathy losing a position there, so he'll want to get himself a little bit further up the field. These new R11s, the riders are raving about the extra stability and grip levels that they've got from the new tyre, and we can see that paying dividend here already. Michael Smith still holding down the third. Jonty Collard, watch out for the bright yellow bike. He's starting to come through the field there, and great to see our new riders, Colin Prello right up in the mix, and Stewie Christie going around the outside there of Lefrance Fritz, but out front, like I said, our top two riders already starting to extend that lead, but there's a great, massive mid-pack task going on here.
I'm surprised Gareth Bezuidenhout is hanging on to Graham van Breda so tight at the moment. Bezuidenhout is putting together a great ride here. New livery from Graham van Breda with the Stefanudi stocks, Kawasaki, and the big dice going on just behind them. Michael Smith, Jaco Goos, and Action Jackson right in the mix as well. His first time in this cup.
A little bit further down, Johan Leroux. We usually see him a lot higher up here at Zwartkops on board now with Apana Ganapathy on their ART Kawasaki machine. Look at the speed that they carry going through turn number 3. Again, just the extra grip levels from those R11s coming into play there as our leading riders just started to spread out ever so slightly, but there really is a good mid-pack dice going on. There's Johan Leroux now, coming under pressure there a little bit further back there from Morne Potgieter. And speaking about under pressure, Graham from Medar, I don't think he expected this kind of pace from Gareth Bezuidenhout.
And a move into third place. Jonty Collard has got past Michael Smith at the top of the hill. So there's this big dice going, and we're on board with Jaco Goos just behind him. Van Breda's bike is squirming under the brace. Gareth Bezuidenhout hanging on to him for dear life. Back at the top of the hill, all these dice is going on. Wayne Spicer holding off Lefras Fritz and Rodney McLaughlin just behind them.
Now Michael Smith is fighting back there now ahead of Jonty Collard, so that's a good little battle going on for that final podium position. And this is the dice that we were talking all the way through the mid-pack there. Again, brilliant ride and brilliant so far from Sofiso Temba, one of our most improved riders, on board now with Jonty Collard, brand new livery for the 2019 season. Look at that almost elbow on the deck style there. Mark Marquez stuff from Jonty Collard. Oh, he looks behind him. You don't want to be doing that coming out of turn 3.
No, you don't. I think he's just checking you in the opposition. But how's that out front? Van Breda is having a massive dive with Bezuidenhout. Collard has moved back up into third place on the track. So Collard and Smith are having a big ding-dong out there.
Apana Ganapathy, Andre van Vollenstein, Morne Potgieter, what a ride. Gareth Jackson, what an introduction to the Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup it's been so far for that man. Nowhere near the pace of these two out front. And Gareth Bezuidenhout, this is what we expected. After having a terrible 2018 season, he's come back fighting already now in 2019. As further back there, we can see Jacques Ackerman all the way from Cape Town trying to make his move ahead there of Stewie Christie, Stewie Russell. And like I said, Johan Leroux just dropping down a little bit into the clutches of these guys now.
We're with the leaders as they come down into turn 2. Look at the lean angle from Graham van Breda. Massive lean angle. There's that dice that's going on for that third position out on track. Michael Smith hanging on to Jonty Collard. Stewie Russell banks that bike in there. And we've got Morne Potgieter having a tremendous... Oh, what's happened? It looks like Gareth Bezuidenhout's got a problem. He's run off the track. Looked like he locked up the back wheel. I can't see what happened there. That definitely is a bike problem. That promotes now Jonty Collard up into second place. Greg Bezuidenhout goes past the stricken bike of Gareth Bezuidenhout, his brother. We go on board with Greg. As we come up onto the shelf, he's lying in 8th position at the moment. He's left it too late on the brakes. Greg's going to run wide onto the dirt. Oh, he's going to give up couple of places, I reckon, Rob.
Yeah, he's going to have to come fighting back. So easy to do at the top of the hill there. You just miss your braking marker by a couple of meters and you run off track. Now look at this massive battle for the final podium positions. There's Jonty Collard in second place at the moment, but he's got Michael Smith and Jaco Koos for company. And look just behind them, Johan Leroux, I say he was fading, but he's actually coming steaming through the field now. It does look like he might get a jump start penalty, so that'll put him down, but certainly closing in on that battle for the top three.
Yeah, jump start, Rob. I think he started yesterday. Panaganapathy. He's having his normal dice with Andre van Vollenstein on the stunt SA Kawasaki. And look at this dicing that's going on through the field. Well, number 10, he's gone a bit down there. Greg Bezuidenhout after he ran off. Right behind there is Stewie Christie, the dog doctor, on board with Greg Bezuidenhout. He's got Stewie Christie for company as well at the moment. Further back, there is Rod McLaughlin, Ruan Oberholzer up the inside of Ian Harwood. Hardwood will now skirt him coming out of the corner, see if he can back up on the inside. Lonely ride out front while we're looking for the checkers to come out for Graham van Breda on the new coloured Stefanudi stocks machine, waving at his fans out in the state. Oh, second place, Jonty Collard under a lot of pressure from Michael Smith. Jaco Koos just behind them. And don't forget, we've got Johan Leroux behind them, but he has been penalised, Rob, according to the timesheets. Van Breda will pick up that overall win. Behind them, yeah, Jonty Collard hangs on to that second place. This has been a great ride from that man with a blue and white crash helmet. There are the results. Van Breda, Jonty Collard, Michael Smith, Jaco Koos, Panaganapathy, Andre van Vollenstein, Morne Patira, and Gareth Jackson on the Morphine Racing Kawasaki, finishing out the top 8 in this Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup race, one from Zwartkops. Let's catch up then with Jonty Collard.
But Joe, we had a good ding-dong with Mark as per normal, man. Now, these new R11s are fantastic. It's been a bit of work done at track, so a bit slippery, but overall, can't bitch at all. Very chuffed with it. Thanks very much.
Let's find out then what happened with Gareth Bezuidenhout.
I was looking forward to having a good battle with Graham there. I was managing to hold up his pace and looking to try and make a pass somewhere, but on the third or fourth lap the bike just decided to cut out on me coming out of turn 4, and that was it. Race over. I couldn't get it started, so we're going to have to dig around in the bike now, see what's gone wrong, and hopefully we can make a start for the second heat.
Time for some refreshments. We'll see you back after the break for race 2 action. Welcome back then to Zwartkops Raceway for the Day of Champions here and the first round of the 2019 Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup. And the crowds have come out and so far have been treated to world-class racing as expected from the Day of Champions. As you can see, the embankments are absolutely packed, especially the guys up and turn number 5. They are getting all kinds of action there on the brakes in both the car and the bike categories. But it's all about the Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup. And the marshals once again doing an incredible job just getting the track sorted for before our bikes go out. You can see we've had some incidents. Let's say it's been a very action-packed day here. The wind is starting to pick up ever so slightly. Temperature is dropping, so it's going to be a real test for those, the brand new Bridgestone R11 tyres that are being run for the first time here today. As you can see, Ian Hardwood, the man from TRP and Bridgestone, getting himself ready. Got Les van Breda in his corner helping him out. Graham van Breda looking to make it a double win in the opening round of the championship.
Some great slow-mo footage as the bikes come out onto the track. Our cameraman there, Claudio Henriques, using the new Osmo, his new toy, as those bikes head out onto the track. Nice steady footage from that little camera with its 3-axis gimbal. Enough about that though, Rob. Right, money down. Rob, who's going to win this one?
Well, Dave, I can definitely tell you it's not going to be Gareth Bezuidenhout because he hasn't made it out for race number 2, which is such a pity because he was the man that had the pace to challenge that man. Bike number 41, that's Graham van Breda. So Michael Smith on the front row of the grid there. He was in a massive battle with that man, Jaco Koos, and of course Jonty Collard for that second and third place. Panaganapathy, an outsider for that podium finish. Johan Leroux, get that start right. He's certainly got the pace to run in that top 3. We got on board here now with him at the start. Let's see if he can get it right second time around. He does, and it doesn't look like a bad launch, although he's left on the line there from a couple of the riders as they go into turn number 1.
Great start there from Gareth Jackson once again. He jumped up there. Greg Bezuidenhout, also a good start from him. But Leroux, watch out for him on the brakes. Oh, foot out for Graham van Breda, MotoGP style. And it's a traffic jam down into turn number 2. There's a second gear corner on the Kawasaki ZX10. Now they skirt it up. Third, fourth gears through turn 3, and then maybe the fifth and back to fourth for turn 4. Yes, I know you're turning right, Graham. We can see that by the right foot.
Yeah, just puts the foot out on the road style there from Graham from Redar, but they're going to have to be very tentative in the opening couple of laps. We saw the marshals working on the track. There have been a couple of oil spills in there, but again, marshals has done an incredible job. Does look like the race line is clear, but certainly at the top of the hill here, you only have that one line. There's not a lot of room to play with, but coming through there for the first time, looks like all is okay. From Redar is getting out front. Michael Schmidt is trying to hang on to his coattails and extending that gap he's got over Jonty Collard and Zwartkops.
Stewie Christie, Jackson, Spicer, Ackerman and Harwood. Harwood having a much better ride. Look at that, Ian Harwood. Good start from him as well on the brightly coloured leathers. Right, Johan Leroux, bike number 44, Avidan Trading. Look at him putting the power down. He'll be looking to go past the Panaganapathy as quickly as possible. There they go into turn number 1. Ganapathy holds a tight line. Leroux, does he go around the outside? No, he cuts back on the inside there. Jonty Collard, good shot of him there in third place.
And look at that, Wayne Spicer challenging up for a top 10 along with Ian Hardwood. So good start there from those two men. Nowhere near the top 10 in race number 1, but certainly got the spanners turned and set up sorted on those bikes. And here we go once again, as we were in race number 1, that battle between Michael Smith and Jonty Collard raging. Yeah, I think in that race 1, that was the best finishes we've seen from him so far in this championship. Sifiso Temba in a good battle there with newcomer Lafroche Fritz. So good little racing. Ian Hardwood, you can't miss him with those bright leathers. Still right in the mix as we go to the top of the hill here on board with Sifiso. The beautiful, nice wine line there. He's going to cut it in nice and tight, hit the apex, knee over that inside curb. Sometimes in the dirt there, they can offset you a little bit, and then try and squirt it in that second gear as they come down now into the final turn. Jonty Collard has stepped up the pace, got comfortable with track conditions, and now putting massive pressure on Michael Smith.
Meantime, out front, Graham from Redar is streaking away with his race. It's just about the fastest lap time he's ever done around this track, so obviously agrees with the tyres. It likes his new paint job with Stefanuti stocks. Yaku close, a lot closer this time around as well. And look at bike number 25, Mornay Potgieter. He's right in the mix. Brilliant ride from him.
Yeah, I saw him in the pit lanes drinking one of those Red Square energy drinks, so I think it's really paying dividend now out on track. Graham from Redar, once again, leg out just to tell everyone that they cannot pass, but he's looked so comfortable, loving the new Bridgestones when I spoke to him. All of these riders, and that man certainly is. Mornay Potgieter right up in the mix, and could get onto the back of Zwartkops and could find himself on the podium.
On board of Sifiso Temba.
No, that's
very
wrong.
quick into there. Very quick going, and he's running off the track. What's he going to do? Oh, this is going to end badly. Sifiso Temba, luckily, Robbie's laid the bike down, hasn't hit that tyre wall. Looks like he's in a bit of discomfort there. I think more shocked than anything else. You don't want to jump off at 200 k's now. Now we've got somebody off at the top of the shelf as well. So that is Gareth Jackson, who's run off. I wonder if we're going to get a red flag. Yes, red flag's out, Rob. So it'll be a restart to this race as they do attend to Sifiso, see if he's okay. Word from the pit lane is that he's in the ambulance. He's had his arm strapped up. I think he's going to be okay. We're on board with Greg Bezuidenhout as we line up for the restart of the second race here at Zwartkops in the Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup. There is part numbers for a Kawasaki.
Oh, Sifiso Temba, that was a big crash, and he's a big man to go down. You do feel it when you're that size. Graham from Redar from pole position. Once again, Michael Smith this time on the inside. Does he make it stick? No, he doesn't, as they all try and falter their way through. Wayne Spicer didn't quite get the same kind of start as he got in the first part of this race. From Redar, leg out style again. Here comes Zwartkops. Jonty Collard, the biggest loser there, because he's gone from third down now into fifth place.
And a great start this time around from Johan Leroux. Look at that. Leroux is right in there with him. Now they've got to be careful because on the brakes he is an absolute mamba, especially at the top of the hill. You'll see him trying now with Jonty Collard just ahead of him.
How does Johan Leroux do this? If you look at him in the pits, if you look at him in the pits and you tell somebody that is the man dicing for a top 3, you would never believe it. He is, 75 years old in the shade?
No,
and look how fast he is.
His son is 75. I hate to say how old he is. But look at the lines he's taking. Tight lines, just coming between the cement dust a little bit. Could have gone a bit more right there. He's going to lose out a bit of drive coming down the hill. Just ahead of him, Jonty Collard. I think Jonty just finding his pace here. He'll settle down and maybe try and pick up on that second position.
Mornay Potgieter now starting to try and challenge Apana Ganapathy. It looks like that maybe he's now just behind him, Apana there. So there's a good little battle going on between the likes of Greg Bezuidenhout right up in the mix there. Andre van Vollenstein, I had to blink twice there. It is Greg Bezuidenhout. Obviously got some words of advice from his brother because he's running right at the sharp end of this field.
Don't forget in the first race he did run off the track, so his result there wasn't really indicative of what he can do. From Redar pulled out 2-3 seconds now. I think he's just cruising at this point. There is Leroux, bike number 44, Avidan. we've got an onboard camera with him, so we'll be able to see what he can do on the brakes at the top of the hill. We go on board here with Jaco Khosa, also one of the last. Jonty Collard up on the inside. How was that for a move?
Oh, he literally just shaved knee slider to knee slider at the top of the hill there. So Jonty Collard didn't get the start that he wanted. He's now smelt the podium, and he wants to pick up another one here. Remember, these all goes towards the whole championship. It is a long championship, but you can really kick it off here at round number 1. And 2 second places for Jonty Collard. That'll be a good start to the season. But Michael Smith, he wants to now pick up that extra couple of points and hold down that second place.
Collard, good drive onto the straight. Not where you can overtake, but what you can do is line somebody up going into turn number 2. So what you do is you swing it back there and then run up on the inside. As we go further down the field, Wayne Spicer. There's our newcomer to the class, bike number 24, behind him, Ian Harwood. The Fruz Fritz having a great ride though on that 28 machine.
Yeah, Ian Harwood just stuck in a little bit of a rut now at the moment. He had a little bit better pace in part 1 of this race, and it just shows you if you get stuck behind some slower riders and they close that line, you can really get into a rut. No such problems for this man. Jonty Collard, C-Tech, Kawasaki, going to now to the top of the hill. On the brakes, brilliant stuff. He came from about 10 or 15 meters back, so he really has got the brakes and the front end suspension sorted on that bike. A lot of these riders trusting that new Bridgestone R11 at the front end a little bit more than they did with the old R10. And look at this now, LaRue challenging Coast looking a little bit out of sorts here now this weekend in that battle for 4th place.
I think Jaco Khosa is riding really well, to be honest. I think the other guys have also just upped their game a little bit. I think Johan LaRue is riding about the quickest we've ever seen him ride in this category. There's the Fruz Fritz. He's got a lot of company just behind him, bike number 42. That's Rod McLaughlin. Remember, he had a big crash at Zwartkops a year ago. So he's finding his confidence back as well.
Yeah, good rides also from Stewie Christie up in the side, the top 10. Unfortunately, Stewie Russell, our Ironman, just battling a little bit further down there.
He is, 83.
Looks like he's got a massive, had knee replacement surgery, so he's going to take some time to get back into this championship. But taking no time is Jonty Collard, and such a pity he didn't have this pace at the start of the race, because at the moment, on the timesheets, he's doing identical time to our leader. On board now with Johan LaRue at the top of the hill. Oh. Look how late he is on the brakes. He still has time to come back across.
Does he make it though? He makes the corner.
Yes, he does. He hits the apex perfectly and squirts on. So Johan LaRue could very well be the oldest man in the history to get on the podium.
On the podium. Jaco Khosa didn't know what to do about it on the brakes there. We saw bike number 10, Greg Bezuidenhout, right behind him, Andre van Vollenstein and Stewie Christie. Much better ride from Stewie. Hardwood round the outside. Ian Hardwood is starting to make a bit of ground. He's in a fantastic dice. All these guys, Fruz Fritz, Morday Potkide, Jacques Ackerman just ahead of them as well. What a great dice these guys are having. Down into turn number 2, it is Graham from Radar, almost on lap record pace, loving life with that big Kawasaki.
Now, when we get to the other circuits, we're going to see lap times and lap records tumble on the inside there. Portkita now gets ahead of Greg Bezuidenhout. So those two have been going, and look who's caught up. Apana Ganapathy is now right on the tailpipes of them. From Radar has got this done and dusted. 50 points in the bag. That's exactly how he would want to start his championship. Remember, a 2018 champion is not just Fengruna, as Johan LaRue now gets on the inside of Michael Smith and into the final podium position. So here we go, a couple of laps remaining. That's exactly when you want to make your moves. Stewie Christie up inside the top 10. Brilliant ride there from bike 65.
Here we go with our second place rider, Jonty Collard, right behind him. It is Johan LaRue. What a great ride from Johan LaRue. Avidan Trading is flying around the track. Let's take a look further down the field because there's dice is all the way down there. Here we go. We take a look at Wayne Spicer right behind him. That is Stewie Russell, the Ironman as you call him. Stewie Russell. Oh, he gets it sideways. Stewie Russell bites the tarmac. That has got to hurt.
Well, good thing he's got those bits of iron in his body. Red flag has come out, and I think it's because of where he and the bike did land. I think we might have done majority of this race where we get a replay. Just goes in and almost just gets on the gas a little bit too hard, a little bit too early, and you can see it just spits him out of the saddle and lands on his bum, doesn't land on that knee that he just had replaced last year. So let's hope that Stewie Russell's all okay and we can see him back at round number 2. But that was a big crash.
Okay, so they're pulling off the track, Rob. That means we'll go back a lap for those results. So you see the riders coming off the track. There's Stewie Russell in the background. He's been loaded into the doctor's car. So there's the results. Graham from Barrage, Jonty Collard, Michael Smith, Jaco Khosa. Don't forget, it goes back a lap. Johan LaRue, Apana Ganapathy, Greg Bezuidenhout, and Andre van Vollenstein, Standard Kawasaki in 8th position.
We managed to get down to pits and catch up with Sifiso Temba after this massive crash.
We came in with 3 guys, at 10, and then there was a bike. I think, I'm not sure, he picked it up. So he picked up the bike, and I had to try and avoid him to give him space, and then I just ran wide, and I ran out of talent, and then I went to the gravel. Then that was the end of it.
50 points in the bag and the pole positions. It's Graham from Bredar.
Thanks to all the marshals and the team here at Zwartkops. We got to still race today, and the track, I would say, is pretty good. You know, we did a very good lap time in the end there, so I won't say it's bad at all. And thanks so much to my team, to the new overall sponsor of my bike, to Stefanucci Stocks and Kawasaki. Thanks, guys. And to my dad and Peter, they set a faultless bike for me. It was difficult today running between the short circuit and this track because my son's on the short circuit, and he managed a triple win as well. So for our team, we're smiling all the way.
So we go to the TRP podium then, and Graham from Bredar headed to the short circuit track to help out his son. That left Les from Bredar to open the champagne and get lessons on how to do it again on the podium. Eventually gets there, yes he does. So join us for round 2 action on the 9th of March right here at Zwartkops Raceway. All this Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup action is proudly brought to you by Red Square for ultimate activation.